The millionaire comes home early and finds a shocking secret that changes everything. Ethan Carlisle never planned to come back tonight. After days locked in a brutal negotiation in New York, his return to the estate, his fortress, was meant to be slow, quiet, expected. But when the call cut short the meeting, he knew something was off. The sky outside was bruised purple as he drove up the winding driveway, the sprawling mansion looming like a castle in the fading light. The air hung heavy, unnatural, like holding a breath too long. No soft rustle of servants moving in the gardens, no distant laugh or clatter from the kitchen. Just silence, a sharp, biting silence that pressed against his skin the moment he stepped through the massive oak doors. Something felt wrong. The grand entrance hall was empty. Normally, faint sounds of life, footsteps, faint music, chatter would surface here. But tonight, only the echo of his own shoes clicking on marble. The slow creep of unease spread inside him, twisting his throat tight. Ethan moved like a shadow through the quiet house, senses spiked. The heavy curtains in the sitting room were drawn, blocking out what little moonlight filtered in. The air smelled faintly of dust and old leather. He knew every inch of this place, yet tonight the walls seemed to hide more than oak and stone. Drawn without thinking, he made for the private study. The door creaked open, revealing rows of books, trophies, files, his life's work. His mind laid bare. But then his eye caught something odd. A worn leather-bound journal, wedged between volumes he'd never seen before. His name was written faintly on the cover. Not his, but a family name long buried in rumors. Carlisle's great-uncle Jonathan. The pages were yellowed, fragile, ink blotchy, but the secrets inside jumped out like flames in the dark. Betrayal, lies, hidden schemes, details about corporate deals, whispered manipulations, and faces Ethan thought he knew, now stained by deceit. His chest tightened, each line poked at old wounds, sharp as glass in his gut. How long had this been hidden? Who had used these masks to carve away at everything he built? His hands trembled, fingers scraping the fragile pages. As a cold shiver ran down his spine, names he trusted, faces he'd welcomed into his inner circle, they were puppeteers in a dangerous game he hadn't even seen. The house, once a symbol of power and control, suddenly felt like a trap. Shadows shifted with every flicker of the candle he lit, dancing against the mahogany shelves like ghosts of past sins. Then, his breath caught on one entry, words scrawled in desperate, uneven script, a cryptic hint about Ethan himself. Something buried deep, a truth that might shatter the foundation of who he thought he was. The lump in his throat grew heavier. He swallowed hard, heart pounding loud enough to threaten the silence. Was this secret a curse or a chance? For redemption, revenge, or forgiveness? Outside, the night deepened, swallowing the mansion whole. Inside, Ethan's world tilted on the edge of a knife, and he had no idea which way it would fall. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ethan's heart raced as he flipped through the fragile pages of the journal. The weight of each secret pressed down harder than lead, each word igniting confusion and anger like sparks in dry brush. How could the people he trusted be hiding so much? An icy finger traced down his spine. Then, a sound shattered the stillness. A soft, almost imperceptible thud from the hallway. Ethan's body tensed, instinct screaming to pay attention. He spun around, the flickering candle causing shadows to leap and dance around him. "Hello?" he called, the name feeling heavy on his tongue. Silence. The thud happened again. Louder this time. It was coming from the kitchen. He crept towards the sound, pulse racing, every noise outside drowned in time with his heartbeat. When Ethan reached the doorway, he froze. The ominous shadows illuminated the figure standing near the counter. It was his brother, Marcus, disheveled, panic-stricken, and clutching a blood-stained shirt. "Ethan, you need to leave." His voice came out in a rush, urgent as fire. "What? What happened?" Ethan stepped forward, eyes narrowing at the crimson blot spreading across Marcus's shirt. "Just go." Marcus's eyes were wide pools of fear, frantic, like a cornered animal. "They're coming for you." "Who's coming?" Ethan felt a whirl of emotions, confusion, anger, panic. "What the hell are you talking about?" Marcus's gaze darted toward the dark hallway, panic slipping out as he murmured, "I shouldn't have come back. I shouldn't have." "Stop." Ethan grabbed Marcus by the shoulders, shaking him lightly. "Tell me what's going on, now." With a trembling breath, Marcus pointed towards the journal, still clutched in Ethan's hand. "It's not just the deals. It was about more than that. Our family, they've been lying about everything. You're in danger." Suddenly, a crash echoed down the hallway, followed by a chaotic rush of footsteps. Ethan's heart raced, dread cooling in his stomach. The world outside his mansion had always seemed so safe, but it was morphing into an unseen battlefield. Before he could process it, the room illuminated with harsh light. Flashlights pierced through the dark. Shadows loomed, bearing weapons that gleamed menacingly. A group of men stormed in, ominous and intent. Ethan Carlisle, one of them, barked, his voice sharp as ice. "Where's what's rightfully ours?" Ethan's breath caught. He backed away, pulling Marcus with him, trying to shield him. "What do you want? You're in the wrong place." "It's not the place," the leader sneered. "It's you. Your great-uncle had answers. Answers we need. And now the clock is ticking." A flood of thoughts tumbled through Ethan's mind. Great-uncle Jonathan? This was all tied to him? The journal? Why had Marcus been involved? With a quick glance, he registered Marcus shaking his head slowly, a silent admission of guilt. "I went looking for the journal. I thought I could protect you, but I was wrong." Ethan's world narrowed down to that moment, reality staggering and spinning. Discovering family secrets was one thing, but now, facing his brother and these men, it was as if the ground beneath him had shattered. Panic coursed through him like venom. "Fight or run?" Marcus whispered, fear tightening his voice. Ethan glanced back at the intruders, eyes darting between his brother and the men closing in. He felt the walls closing, shadows shifting once more like the risky game they were about to play. Would they reveal the truth together, or fall deeper into the web of lies that built their lives? Taking a deep breath, he whispered back, "I don't know." Outside, the night swelled darker, unanswered questions pressing down as the stark reality of betrayal loomed closer than ever before. And all at once, Ethan felt the weight of the world crushing him. His past, his family, and the truth he was only beginning to grasp. It was no longer just about the mansion or the oracle of secrets held within those yellowed pages. It was something far more dangerous than he ever realized. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribcage as he processed his brother's words. "You're in danger?" Panic twisted in his stomach, churning like a storm. Marcus's blood-stained shirt felt like an anchor pulling him down into depths he couldn't escape. Then, the shadows moved and a wave of urgency swept through him. "We have to move, now." But before they could take another step, the front door burst open. The intruders flooded in, their weapons gleaming with malice. Shouts echoed through the mansion as chaos exploded. Ethan felt his fight or flight instincts kick in, but his feet felt rooted to the ground. In the middle of the frantic energy, Marcus suddenly jerked his head back towards the kitchen. "Ethan, wait, there's something I have to tell you about." But he never got to finish. One of the intruders, a cold-eyed man with a scar slicing through his brow, aimed his flashlight directly at Marcus and shouted, "Grab him!" Ethan instinctively moved to shield his brother, but it happened too fast. Marcus was yanked away by multiple hands, trapped like a fish. "No!" Ethan screamed, lunging forward. He couldn't let them take him. He couldn't lose him too. Then a roar echoed from outside, and everything changed in an instant. The ground shook. Glass shattered as an explosion erupted from the rear of the mansion. The shockwave knocked everyone off their feet, scattering men and flashlights like dice in a game gone wrong. Ethan tumbled to the ground, stunned. Smoke poured into the room, filling his lungs with acrid air. He coughed, eyes stinging, trying to regain his footing. "Ethan, run!" Marcus's voice cut through the smoke, desperate and raw. But as Ethan's eyes adjusted, something caught his attention. A figure emerging through the chaos. The silhouette was cloaked and larger than life. A hood hid the person's face. An aura of power surrounded them, and they held something glinting. A knife, a blade reflecting the dim light like a star. Everything shifted. The hooded figure swept through the chaos, moving with a purpose, as if they owned the night. And in that moment, Ethan's heart dropped. This wasn't just a stranger. It felt familiar, like a ghost from his past. "Who are you?" he shouted, fear clawing at him. The figure stopped. Lifting their head, the hood fell away, revealing a face Ethan never thought he would see again. A woman, sharp features lined with a mix of determination and vulnerability. It was Claire, his long-lost sister, presumed dead all those years. "Ethan," she cried, a mix of relief and anguish. "We don't have much time. I thought you were gone. I had to come back." "What are you doing here?" Ethan's pulse quickened. "You shouldn't be." Suddenly the tension snapped. The leader of the intruders locked eyes with Claire. Time warped as Ethan felt the air thicken. "You!" the man spat, recoiling like he'd seen a ghost. "How are you—" "Enough!" Claire's voice rang out with authority, cutting through the chaos. "You think you can play us like this? Not anymore." Before Ethan could register her words, Claire lunged, her knife gleaming in the smoke. A flash of steel, a blur of motion. The energy crackled in the room as she engaged the intruders. Ethan watched, caught between horror and awe. What was happening? What had he stepped into? Then a muffled cry from Marcus broke him free. "Ethan, help me." He sprang back into motion, adrenaline surging. Questions swirling but focus sharpening. He dove into the fray, bringing chaos to chaos, ready to save his brother and make sense of this nightmare. With every beat of his heart, he knew one truth. Nothing was as it seemed. Secrets were unraveling like threads in a falling tapestry. One wrong step, and everything would crumble. As he sprinted toward Marcus, the shadows closed again, dark and menacing. Outside, the night held its breath, and the real game was just beginning. Ethan lunged forward, adrenaline powering his legs. He had to reach Marcus. The chaos of the moment roared around him, a cacophony of shouts and gunshots. Claire was battling the intruders, but all he could think of was his brother's desperate cry. "Ethan," Marcus shouted again, voice thick with urgency. "Help!" Ethan could barely see through the haze of smoke and confusion. He dashed across the room, dodging bodies and debris. His heart hammered in his chest as fear clenched tight. But then, in that split second, something pulled at him, a violent tug at his gut. Behind him, Claire was a whirlwind, battling the men, but as he glanced back, something caught his eye. The leader, the one with the scar, wasn't just barking orders. He was staring directly at him, a vicious grin creeping up his face. "Your sister doesn't realize you're standing in her way, boy," the man sneered. "But that's the least of your worries." Ethan felt a chill. Something was off, like a dark veiled truth lurking beneath the surface. And then, it hit him. He realized he was about to know something terrible. In that moment, he locked eyes with Marcus, who was still struggling against two burly intruders. "Don't," Marcus cried, his face a mask of horror. "Ethan, you can't." But the moment of hesitation cost him. The leader lunged, and Claire was caught off guard. Just as the men grabbed hold of Marcus, Claire's hand faltered. In one fluid motion, she turned, ready to strike. Again, But then, she hesitated. A flicker of recognition passed between her and the leader, an unspoken connection that sent a sharp pang through Ethan's chest. "Wait!" The leader's voice sliced through the chaos, his eyes narrowing as if piecing together a jigsaw puzzle. "The bloodline, it can't be." Ethan felt ice slip through his veins. Was this about bloodlines? What were they talking about? The leader took a step back, a grin spreading across his face. "You don't even know yet, do you? You're not just Jonathan Carlisle's heir. You're more valuable than you could ever imagine." "What the hell are you talking about?" Ethan shouted, panic rising in his throat. But before anyone could answer, the air compressed with tension, and Claire suddenly fell silent, her knife trembling in her grasp. A moment stretched, thick with uncertainty, like the hush before a storm. Then, with a shocking whisper, she turned to face Ethan fully, eyes wide and shimmering. "You need to listen to me. There's something you have to know, something about your true heritage. It's not just about power, Ethan. It's about survival." Ethan's heart sank. The fear on Marcus's face mirrored the confusion coursing through him. Was that the truth hidden behind the journal? The very foundation of everything he thought was real? Just then, an explosion shattered the chaos again. Another blast from the rear of the mansion. The ground shook. Ethan stumbled, looking back to see fragments flying. And in the frantic scramble of bodies and smoke, the leader hissed, "Time's up." Marcus was yanked further away, eyes darting to Ethan, beseeching him. Claire readied herself, knife clenched. Her focus was now on Ethan. "You don't understand. We need to get out, but—" A deafening bang resonated, cutting through her words. Suddenly the front part of the mansion buckled, collapsing in a sudden rush of dust and wood. Screams filled the air. And for a heartbeat, all went dark. When the dust settled, Ethan found himself gasping on the floor, disoriented. But as he blinked through the rubble, something was wrong. Something enormous was obscuring the light. The lean silhouette of the leader was gone, swallowed by the chaos, and in that now silent space, the terrifying whispered truth hung heavy in the air, echoing in Ethan's mind, "You're more valuable than you could ever imagine." "But what does that even mean?" he rasped, yearning for clarity in the confusion, eyes darting, breathing ragged. Then he looked to Claire and Marcus, fear etching deeper lines on their faces. Had everything he believed been a lie? As shadows shifted and heavy darkness loomed again, Ethan felt the ground of his world tremble beneath. He couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was only just beginning. What was the truth, and who could he trust? What hidden secrets awaited within the dust and destruction? Ethan struggled to collect his thoughts, breathing in the thick air. The chaos around him was overwhelming, the sounds of panic rattling his chest like a caged animal. Claire, the sister he thought lost forever, stood just a few feet away. But the enormity of their reunion wasn't the only thing spinning in his mind. Then, out of nowhere, a bright flash ignited from the center of the room. A blinding light that swallowed everything. Ethan squinted, shielding his eyes. It was so sudden and powerful. It felt like the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. Then he heard it. A voice cutting through the haze. "You all should have stayed away." It was the leader, the scarred man, his figure backlit by the unnatural glow. Ethan's heart raced. What had he done to his own family? Was this all connected to that sinister legacy? As the light faded, his eyes began to adjust and the chaos resumed. But then something else caught his attention. A slight movement at the edges of the room. A figure, small, almost childlike, slipped in. Ethan's heart plummeted as recognition dawned. It was a girl, no older than 10, with wild hair and wide eyes. "Emma? Emma!" he yelled, panic surging through his veins. His little sister had vanished years ago. The family had always whispered, half-heartedly consoled, half ashamed at her loss. But there she was, standing, trembling, in the middle of what felt like a nightmare. "Ethan," she cried, fear etched on her tiny face. "You have to help me. Help you. You're here." "How?" But then the leader's voice broke through again, sharp as shattering glass. Enough of this. He pointed his weapon, breathing heavily, his eyes aflame with madness. You think you can save her? You're all just pawns in a game far bigger than you understand. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears, but he had to focus. He had to get Emma out. She was in danger. Claire, what's going on? Who is she? Why is she here? As Claire opened her mouth to respond, the atmosphere shifted again. The lights flickered and a surreal hum filled the air. Ethan looked beyond the fight. A swirling mist coalesced around the figure, changing shapes, becoming something more monstrous. Your sister is the key, the leader spat, horror dawning on his face. The bloodline, she carries it. You're all too late. She'll set the world right or bring it all crashing down. What? No, that can't be true. Ethan's voice trembled, fraying at the edges. But it is, the leader taunted, his grin widening. Your family was never just wealthy. You hold the power to command worlds, and she fits in a piece of your twisted puzzle. Ethan's chest tightened as the realization sank. In that moment, nothing made sense anymore. He turned to his siblings, searching their faces for answers, but they were equally lost. Before he could respond, the men began to regroup, turning their attention toward Emma. The leader was breathing heavily, laughter bubbling beneath his anger. You think you can hide her?
She's what we've been after all along. The crooked weight of dread anchored Ethan down. Everything he thought he knew was slipping away, unraveling like tattered fabric. His little sister, the one they had mourned, was more than just a name. With every ounce of strength he shouted back, Emma, run! But then, the world tilted again. The air shimmered, then cracked, as if a door in reality itself had flung itself wide open. The very ground trembled beneath their feet, swallowing sound, swallowing light. In a heartbeat, it escalated from chaos to something darker. All Ethan could do was reach out for Emma, the shadows swirling and devouring the room as reality shifted. And in that moment, he realized this fight was just the beginning. New questions pierced the air like shards. What did it mean to be a Carlisle? What did Emma truly represent? With the very heart of their family at stake, the only thing Ethan felt was fear. Fear of the truth, fear of loss. And outside, as the night deepened, a new darkness stirred, waiting just beyond the threshold. Uncertainty hung heavily like fog. Who were they really? What kind of legacy were they a part of? Would they all survive to unveil the truth? The swirling dark around Ethan felt heavy, pressing down like a weight. He looked at Emma, her small frame shaking with fear. Shadows danced on the walls, and the chaos that surrounded them seemed to swirl with a life of its own. Ethan, she cried again, voice tight with urgency. Please. Stay close, he shouted back, determination surging through him. If she was truly here, if they could somehow escape this madness together, his mind raced with possibilities. Claire moved swiftly next to him, knife ready. We need to go, now. Her voice shook, but there was a fierce glint in her eyes. Before they could form a plan, the scarred leader stepped forward. You think you're stronger together? He sneered, menacing as he stalked closer. This is just the beginning. You don't even know what you're up against. Then something shifted, a ripple in the air. Ethan felt it deep in his gut, a pulse of energy that made every hair on his body stand on end. He caught Claire's gaze, fear intertwined with confusion. What was happening? Suddenly, a crack split the room, sharp and piercing. The ground beneath them trembled violently. What the? A burst of blinding light erupted, enveloping everything. And as swiftly as it began, it fell away like a curtain drawn aside. Standing there, behind the wreckage of it all, was a figure, a woman, tall and imposing, an otherworldly aura surrounding her. She wore flowing clothes, shimmering like stars, and her gaze bore into Ethan's with an intensity that sent chills racing down his spine. Who are you? He gasped, stumbling back, clutching Emma's arm. The leader's confidence faltered, his bravado dissolving in the face of this newcomer. You shouldn't be here, he spat, eyes wild.
But the woman raised a hand, silencing him. "The legacy has been awakened," she declared, her voice echoing with a powerful resonance that seemed to quiver the very air around them. "Ethan Carlisle, blood of the ancient line. It's time you understood your true inheritance." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. True inheritance? What did that mean? Confusion swirled. What secrets were waiting in that gleaming visage? "Emma," the woman continued, turning her gaze on his sister. "You hold a part of the key, too. The truth binds you both, and the time for concealment is over." "What?" Ethan's heart raced. He felt as if the ground beneath him was about to vanish. Before he could press for answers, the air thickened. The shadows trembled like living things. Panic surged as the leader took a step back, recoiling from the power radiating from the woman. "You cannot be. You're supposed to be gone." Ethan's mind raced. Gone? What the hell was happening? Was she a threat? Was that why everything felt so wrong? "Enough!" The woman's voice thundered like a storm. "No more lies. It's time to reveal the truth. Everything from the shadows of your family's past." Suddenly, the room filled with flickers of memories, like disjointed scenes playing before his eyes. Faces flashed, his parents, loved ones lost, and then the leader, younger, laughing, arm in arm with his mother. Ethan staggered back. "What?" "No." The echoes of laughter twisted into taunts, morphing into agony, probing his heart like daggers. But through them, he caught a glimpse of a young girl, a sibling, a sister he had never known. "Claire!" he shouted, panic surging. What is this?" And then the woman turned, her eyes piercing through him. "The truth is far more powerful than the lies that built your world. You were chosen, Ethan, but you are also the one who can break the cycle." Break the cycle? A sense of betrayal crushed down hard. He glanced at Claire, confusion fogging over their bond. Was she part of this too? In that loaded moment, the leader lunged forward once more, rage boiling in his eyes. "You're a fool, wasting time. You don't know what you've unleashed." And before Ethan could react, the woman flicked her wrist. Energy crackled, wrapping around the leader in a glimmering chain of light. "Wait!" Ethan shouted. But it was too late. With a roar, the leader disintegrated into shadows, leaving only a chilling silence. Then the weight of it slammed back down on Ethan. Emma's trembling hand squeezed his. "What just happened?" she whispered. What indeed? In that split second, everything shifted. Questions hung heavy in the air like smoke. The woman regarded Ethan with an intensity that consumed him. "You have a choice to make, one that will alter the course of your legacy forever." Uncertainty gripped him, fear clawing at his chest. The world outside pulsed, dark and foreboding. What paths would he choose? And just like that, the shadows loomed larger, ready to swallow them whole again. Would he step into the light or succumb to the darkness? Ethan stood there, heart racing, locked in an eerie moment with the woman. Every word she spoke felt loaded, like a ticking bomb ready to go off. Emma clutched his hand tightly, and Claire's posture vibrated with tension. Everyone felt it, the weight of unspoken truths pressing down upon them. "Your legacy carries more than power," the woman continued, her voice softening slightly. "It holds the key to a greater balance. But you must choose wisely." And before Ethan could ask what that even meant, a creeping darkness snaked around them, enveloping the shadows and pulling them tighter. Something shifted, like the very air had decided to betray them. "Ethan!" And the small voice pierced through his thoughts, eyes wide and terrified. "I feel something wrong." Yes, me too." Claire fixed a determined gaze on the woman, her grip tightening on her weapon. "What's happening?" The woman's face paled, just enough to catch Ethan off guard. "The line is delicate. You must be cautious." And just like that, her words hung heavy in the hazy space. Suddenly, an explosion ripped through the room. Not just the remnants of what had burst before, but a deafening sound. They turned instinctively, only to see a previously hidden door flying open. A figure staggered through the smoke. Ethan's stomach dropped. This wasn't just any figure.
It was their father. He was alive. Dad? Ethan's voice cracked, disbelief crashing through him like waves. You're here? But his father's wild eyes darted around, as if searching for something, or someone. No, you shouldn't be here. Not now. Panic clawed at his features, and Ethan's heart lurched. Dad, wait, Claire yelled, but their father's gaze snapped up, locking eyes with the leader, who had somehow returned, bruised but fighting, a twisted smile covering his face. Perfect timing, isn't it? What a reunion. He laughed scornfully, reveling in the chaos. You think you can protect them? You don't realize what you've put into motion.
Ethan's father shook his head, desperation etched across his face. You have to listen to me, the blood, but the leader didn't let him finish. He lunged forward. All these years, tricked into thinking you could vanquish me, the truth would be your undoing. Suddenly, in a flash, a blinding blue light erupted from the floor, enveloping the room like a tidal wave. The world spun faster than Ethan could comprehend. He stumbled, trying to shield Emma and Claire, but the moment everything went white, an unearthly scream echoed through the cacophony. Time twisted. When the blinding light faded, Ethan blinked rapidly, trying to figure out what had just happened. Everything felt different, and in the middle of what was left of the room, both his father and the leader were gone. Where did they go? Claire whispered, dread mingling with confusion. The air crackled with uncertainty, shadows looming like ominous specters. Emma trembled, glancing from Ethan to Claire. Ethan, I feel like something's wrong. Something's not right. Then it hit him like a freight train. What did he mean by blood? The leader was talking about our family, our blood. What's your connection, Claire? Her eyes widened, the color draining from her face. I didn't think. I hoped you wouldn't find out like this. We tied our fates together, but I didn't know what it would mean. What do you mean, tied our fates? Ethan's voice grew desperate. Confusion erupted, turning the air heavy and fraught. But before she could respond, the cold truth settled as a flicker of energy surged through him. He staggered backward, realization dawning like a massive storm. Claire took a small step forward, looking determined yet scared. You have to trust me. Ethan, you're not alone in this. There's something I need to tell you. A tremor ran through the room again, cutting her off. Everything felt on the brink, the past and present colliding, history unraveling. As she spoke, the mist thickened, swirling around them like tendrils of fate. The air crackled again, and Ethan felt the foundations of his world trembling. What truth lay buried there, and how twisted was their family's bond? And just like that, a door crashed open, revealing a strange figure cloaked in darkness. The shadows deepened, echoing the horrors of the unknown. Ethan's heart raced. What new revelation awaited them, and what had happened to his father? He clenched his fists tight. This was far from over. Ethan's heart raced as he looked at the cloaked figure. Time seemed to freeze. Claire's eyes were wide, her grip tightening around the knife. Emma pressed against him, a frightened whisper on her lips. Shadows clung to the edges of the room, thick and suffocating. Who are you? Ethan demanded, desperation clawing at him. What do you want? The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a face that was hauntingly familiar. It was a face he thought he'd seen in old photographs, but had never remembered. The woman looked older, but no less striking. I am your mother, Ethan, she said, voice steady as a heartbeat. Time shattered. Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. No, it's not possible, you. Yes, I am alive, she interrupted, her eyes fierce yet tender. I had to stay hidden to protect you. All of you. Claire's face blanched, the knife falling from her grip as she took a step back in shock. Mom? She whispered. Claire, But before she could explain, the shadows shifted again, an angry growl echoing off the walls. Ethan couldn't take it in. The woman he thought was lost forever stood before him, yet everything felt wrong. How could it be? Then the leader reappeared in a flash of darkness, his calm demeanor now twisted with rage. You were never supposed to come back, he spat, eyes blazing. You should have stayed dead. Ethan's stomach churned at the words. What did you mean by that?
Your mother knows the truth, the leader snarled, his voice dripping with venom.
She's kept secrets, dark secrets that could unravel everything.
No.
His mother stepped in front of Ethan and Claire, defiance lighting her eyes. I protected you from a legacy of pain. The tension thickened. Emma clung tightly to Ethan. He felt like the walls were closing in, the air growing heavier. What is happening? What do you mean, our legacy? He turned to Claire, searching her eyes for answers.
She whispered, breath trembling.
Ethan, I swear, we didn't know.
The leader's laughter cut through the air, bitter and sharp.
You think family bonds can protect you from the truth? You're a part of something greater, whether you like it or not. Ethan felt his mind race. Stop. Just stop. He grabbed his mother's arm, pleading. What do we have to do with any of this?
But before she could respond,
a thunderous sound erupted from the back, like the crack of thunder. A wave of energy shot through the room. The shadows contorted, the walls trembling violently. Suddenly, another figure emerged from the chaos. A man, tall and menacing, exuding an aura of power. Ethan's breath caught in his throat as he recognized him. It was a face older than his memory, but undeniably familiar. Father, he gasped, taking a step back in disbelief. His mother's expression shifted, eyes wide with horror. No, you shouldn't be here, Nathan. The man smiled, cruel and calculating. Oh, but I have to be here, don't I? You've meddled in things you can't begin to understand. Ethan's head throbbed with confusion. Why are you back? Why didn't you tell us? Because, Ethan, Nathan said, voice low and dripping with disdain, you were never meant to know the truth. You and your sister were meant to be weapons in a larger scheme. Your blood is valuable, a bond, forged by darkness. Ethan recoiled, shock and betrayal sinking cold fingers into his heart. He looked at Claire, her face a mirror of pain. No, this can't be true. But as Nathan spoke, memories began to flash before Ethan's eyes. Images of hidden meetings, whispered conversations, deals made under the cover of darkness. He realized in that moment that every memory he cherished was a lie, a carefully crafted facade. Everything I believed. He trailed off, voice cracking as the truth loomed like a storm. What have you done? His mother's voice broke, but it was too late. Suddenly, a blinding light erupted again, swallowing the room whole. Ethan grasped Emma's hand, pulling her closer, knowing everything was about to change. As the world faded into brightness, Nathan's laughter echoed in the distance. You have no idea what's coming, Ethan. The game has just begun. In that instant, everything rattled. The room, the memories, the bonds he thought were unbreakable shattered around him. Uncertainty flooded his mind. Questions clawed at his soul. What legacy did his family carry? And more devastatingly, what kind of person was he meant to become? The darkness swirled around them, a haunting promise of what lay ahead. He was on the brink of discovering not just the truth, but the very essence of who he was, or who he was meant to become. As the light dimmed, the shadows stirred again, and the real fight was just about to begin. The light faded, leaving a heavy silence in the room. Ethan blinked, trying to shake off the confusion swirling in his mind. Everything felt surreal, like a twisted dream he couldn't escape. His mother stood before him, fierce yet fragile, a ghost from his past that he had long believed to be lost. Then Nathan's presence pressed down on them like a weight. You think you can just waltz back into our lives? It's too late for that, he sneered, eyes glinting with malice. Stop, Ethan shouted, heart racing. What do you want from us? Blood, Ethan, the blood that binds you all. You have no idea what you're tangled up in. Nathan's laughter echoed, cruel and wicked. Your family's legacy isn't just powerful, it's dangerous. Something stirred behind Ethan, a shift in the shadows. He turned, and before he knew it, a startled gasp escaped his lips. Another figure emerged, Is this a family reunion? A woman's voice cut through the tension, smooth, chilling. I can't believe I'm missing the fun. Ethan's heart dropped. It wasn't just anyone. It was Lily, the enigma from their past. His older sister, thought to be dead, looked just as he remembered, but colder, sharper. What? No. How? He stammered, disbelief washing over him. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Surprised to see me? You should be. It's not often one gets a second chance to play with family. Lily, why are you here? Claire's voice trembled, fear dripping. From every word. Because. Lily stepped closer, her presence suffocating. I was always meant to be part of this. The lock holds so many keys, and I'm finally here to open the door. Ethan's head spun. What did she mean? Was there more to their family ties than he'd ever understood? Emma's grip tightened around Ethan's hand as fear coursed through her. What's happening? Before he could reassure her, Nathan's snarl broke through again. You meddled in affairs beyond your comprehension. No, Nathan. Lily's voice rang out, a smooth blade cutting through the chaos. They're mine now. I've waited long enough in the shadows. Ethan felt his stomach drop. She wasn't just part of this world. She was potentially its architect. The thought made his heart race, panic thickening in his throat. Lily, his mother pleaded, stepping forward, a mixture of fear and despair on her face. You don't know what you're doing. Oh, mother, Lily laughed lightly. That's where you're wrong. I know exactly what I'm doing. A sudden crash echoed, sending everyone jolting. The shadows fluttered as the room rattled, and without warning, Jim, someone Ethan knew all too well, emerged, breathless, eyes wide with urgency. Ethan, we need to go, it's… But before he finished, Nathan unleashed a surge of energy. Not so fast. Pain lanced through the air as shadows morphed, twisting to bind Jim. Ethan instinctively surged forward, but it was too late. No, Jim, Ethan shouted, horror clawing at his chest. Then everything spiraled. The air crackled, and shadows erupted. Lily stepped back, a flicker of surprise on her face as the chaos unfolded. You didn't just revive me, she murmured, bewildered. You brought back the past. As the room darkened, all at once the memories flooded back. Happy moments splintered with hidden betrayals. And in that moment, Ethan felt it, a shattering wave of truth crashing down like glass. Were they all just pieces on a board? Toys in a game that had gone far beyond their control. The shadows reached for him, ready to consume. Desperation filled him. What do you want from us? He yelled into the darkness. The only answer was sudden silence, thick and heavy. Then Lily stepped forward, a smirk spreading across her face. You're about to find out, brother. Family isn't just blood. It's what you choose to do with it. In that heartbeat, reality twisted. Could he trust her? Was darkness rising within her, or was she the beacon that could lead them all to salvation? Questions swirled like a storm, and as the shadows closed in, a new mystery started to unravel, a legacy hidden deeper than he ever imagined. What did they all have to do with "You're alive," he whispered, still grappling with the reality that his mother stood before him, flanked by Nathan and Lily, who seemed to embody chaos itself. This is what they wanted, Nathan sneered, his confidence unwavering. The reunion of the family, the bloodline reborn. But it's all a ploy to reclaim power. Ethan's heart raced. What do you mean? Who's using us? His words echoed in the heaviness of the air. Lily stepped forward, an unsettling smile creeping across her face. We've been chosen, Ethan. We have something that others want. Our family line holds ancient secrets, legacies that conceal unimaginable power. No, Claire shouted back, her voice breaking. We're not weapons. We're not a part of your twisted game. Game, Lily's voice grew cold. This is survival. Power shifts. Are you ready to claim what is yours? Ethan felt nausea twist in his stomach. The revelations were boiling over like a pot left on the stove too long. Emma squeezed his hand tighter, fear glimmering in her eyes. What does it mean for us? She asked, trembling. The darkness will only consume you if you let it, their mother replied, urgency lacing her tone. But it takes strength to stand against it. Despair plunged deep within Ethan as he realized the stakes. Their family legacy was riddled with manipulation and control, a truth he couldn't ignore any longer. In that moment, every shattered memory cascaded like shards of glass through his thoughts. Suddenly, the shadows seemed to pulse. Nathan raised his hands, darkness coiling like a serpent. You think you can escape? Not yet. You still owe the family for your inheritance. No, we rewrite our own fate, Ethan shouted, fixing his eyes on Emma and Claire. They were stronger together. In that moment, he felt a flicker of warmth against the cold fear wrapped around his heart. As if answering his call, a blinding light surged through the room, weaving itself in and out of the shadows, illuminating their path. It filled Ethan with raw energy when he instinctively held out his hand to his siblings. Emma stepped closer, and Claire mirrored the gesture, forming an unbreakable circle. Together, they shouted in unison. Bright energy enveloped them, fighting back against the encroaching darkness. Find strength in each other, their mother urged, her voice now a guiding beacon in the storm. With one powerful push, the light exploded outward, crashing against Nathan's darkness. For a moment, time stood still as good met the malignant force head-on. When the clash echoed, the world around them rippled like a mirage, and everything seemed to crumble. No, Nathan roared, struggling against the brightness. It pierced through the shadows that had once dictated their lives. In that moment, clarity washed over Ethan, as Nathan's figure dissolved into the very darkness he had manipulated. A hush fell over the room. Just as swiftly, Lily looked at her brother, a flicker, a vulnerability gleaming in her cold eyes. You're stronger than you know, Ethan. But remember, the legacy is not only ours to bear. With one final look, she too faded away, leaving Ethan standing amidst the stillness. A warm glow lingered as the shadows retreated, and the heaviness began to lift. Ethan turned to his mother, his heart racing with a mix of relief and uncertainty. What happens now? We choose our path, she replied, stepping closer, tears glimmering in her eyes. The family binds you, but it does not define you. You create your own destiny. Emma looked up at her, fear replaced by hope. We're going to be okay, right? Yes, their mother promised, wrapping them both in a gentle embrace. You are free now, strong enough to face the future. Ethan took a deep breath, letting the tendrils of relief fill him. Together, as a family, they had faced down a darkness that threatened to consume them. They had uncovered their truth. And as he looked at Claire and Emma, he felt the warmth of their bond glowing alongside him. They were not just a family entwined in pain. They were architects of their own story. As the sun began to rise outside, illuminating the remnants of the night, Ethan knew there would still be challenges ahead, but they would face them together. He turned to his siblings, his voice steady. We step into the light and forge a new path. For us, together, they echoed. With a wave of determination, they stepped forward into a future unknown, but unwritten, ready to shape it as they saw fit. But before you go, you have to subscribe right now so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now. It really helps the channel grow and brings you more of what you love. Flood the comment section with your thoughts, theories, and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Your support makes all the difference. Let's keep this amazing community alive.